Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Flameworking 102.55 Rainbow Cane. So today I'm going to be making some special edition flat rainbow cane for some pieces I'm going to be making, and I'll share one with you next week. So stay tuned for that. But now I just wanted to focus on making this cane because it is a little time consuming. So if you're interested in this stuff, I hope you find this fascinating. And that's it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. As always, I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon. All right, I'm going to start everything out on a bit of clear. So I'm going to start heating up my clear, and I'm looking for like just a small gather of glass. I'm going to press this down into a lollipop here in a second. So I just want to get a little glass started, and I'll use my butter knife to flatten it down. It's easier for me to press with a butter knife instead of the mini mashers, but you can use whatever way is your best way. So I'm going to press it down one more time, and that's good, but I know I need to add all those colors up there in the corner to this, so I'm going to just elongate it here a little bit and add some more to the bottom. I just want to make sure that this is big enough to fit all those colors on it. So I'll swipe a little bit here on the bottom a couple times. And go ahead and flatten that out. Do your best to not introduce any heat to the larger part, like the rod part. Keep all your heat just up in the lollipop. That looks pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and start. And the reason why is because when you start kind of getting heat back into that thick rod, it could crack, which you'll see momentarily. Anyway, I'm going to start out by adding a little bit of red to the side, and this is like a medium red. All of these colors can be shifted depending on what you have on hand. There's a few colors here that I thought I could have done a little bit better, like the violet. It turned out to be a little bit lighter than I was hoping, but either way, the cane came out beautifully, and I definitely used it. So this next color is an orange, and with every color that I do, I'm going to heat it and then flatten it out very gently, and then go ahead and kind of pull it in a little bit to make a straight edge for my next color to butt up against. And I'm going to do the same with this yellow. Of course, all these colors I will make sure to put in the bottom of the description so you can see what I'm using. I'm not sure about this green though. I think it's a dark grass green, but I'll check. I'm going to add that right next to it. As I was making this, I was also thinking about, the different colors that I could have used. I could have used it could have been an all blue rainbow, or you could use the same color and just different shades. It doesn't have to be a rainbow like this. But I thought this was most appropriate for the pieces that I'm putting them in. All right, so there's our kind of turquoise blue. And I have one more that I'm using the evil purple here. Yeah, I know. But, I thought it was going to be a good violet. Either way, I didn't have quite enough room here on the side. So what I want to do is add a little bit extra clear to give the purple a better platform to sit on. So I'm just going to heat that up a little bit and just make sure it looks good for the violet. And these aren't perfect stripes, just to let you know. They're a little squirrely, but I think, all my work is when it comes to straight lines. So a couple lines of this evil purple. And the whole thing about that color is if it escapes and goes outside of the clear, it can kind of get a weird texture. All right, so what I'm doing here is just flattening everything down. And yeah, sometimes this happens. So when the cane falls off, don't panic. I'm just grabbing it with my tweezers and just doing whatever it takes, basically. Just get the glass back on there. And that's a reason why I don't like to use glass rods for my, as my handles. But I will transfer it here in a minute. The first things first, I want to encase the whole other side, the color side, in clear. So we're just going to spend a moment to just swipe on the clear. And I want to make sure that when I swipe the color on, the color underneath is cool enough to where when you swipe with that clear, it doesn't smear the color underneath. So you want it a little on the cool side. I'm going to add a little bit to the edges here. I just want to make sure that everything is completely encased before I transfer this over. I don't know why. I could have transferred it earlier, but I figured I might as well do what I need to do now. So I encased the clear side. I encased the side with all the color, and then I encased the other side again. I'm trying to get the same amount of clear on both sides. So here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and break that off and shove a punty in there. We'll clean that up later on. I just want to get my metal punty in there, and I'll feel a lot better about things. All right, so continuing on, I'm going to add a little bit of clear to the top to encase those colors. Make sure none of them are peeking through any of the clear. And I'll spend a little bit of time just melting that in. And now that all the color is encased, I'm going to do another full encasement. But first, I want to punty up the other side, because I feel good about adding the clear to the bottom. So I'm going to add that punty right in between, right in between the yellow and the green, trying to get it right in the center. And then I'm going to just rip this glass off the other side and start pulling out all of that clear and all the yucky stuff. And I am going to just continue to clean that up. I want this to look really nice before I pull it out. And don't mind that little bit of clear I have there. I'm going right into it with my tweezers, pulling a little bit more of that color out to shorten it up a little bit in the center. And then I just thought I'd just flatten that out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, flatten that out a little bit more, heat it up, and I will continue adding the clear on the top. It is kind of a sloppy job, but just make sure it's completely encased in the clear. All right, so I'm just centering it up there real quick. And I was looking at this from the side, and I kind of felt like I needed a little bit more clear glass on one of the sides to make the color more in the center. So I'm just going to add a little bit more clear here on that side. Really, the important thing is having the even clear, even having your clear even on all sides. I'm tongue-tied today, you guys. All right, so at this point, I'm just going to start to flatten everything out. Now we have our rainbow completely encased in the clear. And I'm just going to start melting everything in and get my punty in there. And remember, once the punty is on the other side, you're kind of committed. I mean, you're not, but you are. You're committed to just heating and pulling it out. If you need to readjust anything, now's the time to do it. All right, so here at the end, the way I'm heating this up, because it's kind of squatty, is I'm heating just in the center. I don't want to heat the edges until the very end, because the heat will travel to the ends anyway, because it's kind of a short package. So I'm going to do a little bit of heating, well, a lot of heating, and maybe a little tapping on the marvering pad to keep everything flat. And here it's kind of, you know, pulling out a little bit on its own. And I just want to make sure that I flatten it out a little bit more. And when I go to pull this out, I'm looking for really even heat on all sides, all around. All right, here we go. Now, you're not going to see this because I had to go outside of the camera to do my final pull. But I had to do a vertical pull in the air, okay? A vertical pull. And just to make sure everything came out nice and even. All right, I'm going to cut the center, and then I'm going to cut one side off here, off the puntee. And there's kind of a knob on my other puntee here that I thought, ooh, if it doesn't crack, I'm going to pull this out into a little spiral cane. So our flat is done, and if you have a little bit left over, these look beautiful as a spiral. So I'm just going to heat up. I was really careful heating this back up, and I'm just going to pull this out with a nice twist, and we are done with our flat special edition rainbow cane and twist. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you stick around for next week to see how I use them. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time in the dungeon.